Hey everyone, this is Kyle from CTO.ai with the rest of the team from the hackathon, the Slack hackathon that was happening this week. We're really stoked to submit a video of how we use Slack to streamline some of our development processes. So just to set the stage here, one of the things that we noticed is we have a deployment channel in Slack, and our developers are always jumping in that channel to say, hey, is staging free? Is staging free? I need to deploy. So our goal in the hackathon and our goal as our business is to bring developer tools to where communication and collaboration happens in that Slack. So what we chose to do was to try to streamline that process so that we could show how we could help collaboration and DevOps happen in Slack. So we're going to jump into a demo. Alex here is going to drive and I'm going to narrate. Okay, so what we have here is a Slack channel here, and Alex is going to use the Ops platform to trigger a workflow that we deployed. And I think you might just need to scroll down there. Cool, so now we've triggered this workflow using a Slack command. This workflow is essentially going to go to the Ops platform, pull some secret credentials that will allow us to interact with GitLab to start a CI/CD pipeline. So the first thing we need to do is select the project that we're going to be deploying, and we have many different projects that we use, but we're first going to use the Slackathon project, and this is the project that the team actually worked on during the hackathon. And then we're going to pick a branch. So the ironic thing here is we're using GitHub Flow inside of GitLab, and that's running deployments and tests from a feature branch, and then only merging to master once it's stable. And this provides for rapid rollbacks and just stability in your deployment process. So we're going to pick a branch here called Slack Demo. This will kick off the pipeline. And what we'll see here, if we just look to the right while the pipeline status is pending, is we should be able to start to see, if we switch over to this dashboard that we built also during the hackathon, we should start to see events starting to roll in from what's going on within the pipeline. And that's going to take a few minutes to run because there's sort of a build process with tests that are happening. You can see here roll deployment just clicked in. Do you want to just maybe go ahead and click on that link, Alex, so we can see this deep links into GitLab, and you can see here hotfix please revert. So that's your typical hackathon approach. But now the pipeline process is running and it's about to deploy. So just while it's deploying, let's switch back to the dashboard and let's go through some of the other metrics that we're capturing, because I think it's really important to be able to capture analytics from your workflows, because that's how you can get a better line of sight on productivity. The interesting thing about this is actually data from the hackathon. So you can see there was 8.6 deployments per day during this hackathon. This team killed it. Good job. That's a high deployment rate. As we scroll down, we can actually start to see the time to deploy. And what this is a measure of sort of when an issue was created through to when it was deployed. You can see the sort of distribution is anywhere between 1 day and 4 days. And that's pretty ideal from a hackathon perspective because you only have 5 days in this hackathon to get something done. On the right-hand side, we have time to roll back. So you can see not every deployment like that hotfix, sometimes you have to roll back your code. And we can see somewhere in an average around 60 minutes, the team was able to roll back builds that they were breaking because they were programming so quickly. There was one that took a couple hours, but that's a really fast response time and something that you want to be able to measure in any good dev practice. And so to that point, as we scroll down, we have an 85% success rate on this team as they've been shipping code, and that's pretty awesome for a hackathon when you're moving fast. On the right-hand side, we sort of have a migration risk factor, and this is essentially assessment of each branch that was deployed and its risk to become a failed deployment. And essentially, we're looking at different migrations and trying to evaluate the risk of each particular release on the branch. And as you scroll down a little bit further, you can see that there's 2 branches that are active in deployment currently. So that lets you know kind of how big is the queue of people who are deploying, who might be jumping into that deployments channel, trying to figure out when it's their turn to deploy, because you can't all necessarily deploy at once. And in continuous deployment is, you want to be able to deploy and isolate each individual change so it's really easy to roll back. That's kind of the idea of GitHub Flow. And then on the right-hand side, you can see we crushed a bunch of bugs as well. So we had features, bugs, and enhancements, and that's sort of just pulling in from the labels. So maybe let's just pop back over to the pipeline view and see where the pipeline's at. We can see it's been deployed, and if we just pop back to Slack, we'll see that the Slack bots completed the workflow successfully. So that's a quick, rapid breakdown of what we worked on this week. This team did an amazing job. Thank you, guys. And we hope that this sort of highlights our submission to the hackathon, which is essentially we're going for, I believe, the best custom app. Obviously, being a dashboard, we're not submitting this piece to the App Store, but what our future plans are is to be able to take these analytics, these metrics, and bring them to the Home tab inside of Slack, so that development teams have a Slack native experience for not just continuous integration to continuous deployment, but also getting an activity stream and important metrics about what they're doing. So thanks very much at Slack for the opportunity to participate in this, and we hope you like our submission.